Welcome. This is Melinda Barlow, CZT, and we had a wonderful class on doing Noel, and of course, you know, those things happen, and it didn't record, and so I am doing another recording, and so we're going to get started, and if you don't have the Noel printed in the file, there is the Noel template, plus there is a step outs that are available, and of course the link to the class that is over. So we are going to get started. Oh, and I am using a Micron 01 pen and a regular, just a regular pencil. So we will get started, and here is our Noel template. Our first tangle that we're going to do is Vertigo, because I think it has such a Christmas look to it, and we're going to work on just this portion, the no, and then you can finish the EL, because the class would be really long if I did the whole Noel. So it's the same, the NO is the same technique as what we do the EL. So we're going to start with, I'm just going to start with a line, and I'm going to run it up underneath the N and up to the side. And when I do a stem, I like to draw back, and you can't see my hand, I was too close. I like to draw back towards myself. I have more control that way, and so I draw back on it. And I'm going to move over a little bit. Okay, and now we're going to just draw little needles, and mine are going to be pointed because, and I'm going to turn my tile so that it's easier for you to see what I'm drawing. I'm just drawing little, and you can do yours so they are square like the step outs. You noticed here I went underneath the L using that Hollybaugh effect that we talk about in Zentangle. Here's another one, and I'm going to do another one just because I think that has such a great effect. And you notice that I move my tile rather than moving my pen. Ooh, I got a little mark on my end there with my pen as I moved it. And I like my needles to kind of have a slight curve in them, so they're not completely straight, but everyone will do theirs slightly different. Have a very light pressure on your pen, and I have found if I hold my pen a little bit further back from the tip, I get less pressure. So now I'm going to rotate it around, and now I have my first row of needles, and now I'm going to put my second row, and I'm going to purposely Hollybaugh underneath, and I'm just going to fill this in. I don't have to do all the way up. I can just fill this in as I go, and You want to go slow so that you have purpose, and start and stop right at where you're going under, and sometimes you won't go under, but we're just going to fill these in all the way up. And I'm going to tell you a little story about, we live in an old house. Well, it's not for this area that I live. It's an older house. It was built in 1950. I'm compromising with my husband here. I say it was built in 1948, and he says 1950. Okay, again, I'm going to rotate around because I don't like my hand to go over the top of something I've already done. I find that even with the micron pens, it can smear. And, but I live in an older house, and when we bought the house, we are the second owners. And the first owners lived their entire life here, and both passed away in the home. That might freak some people out, but they were good people, and so we have great vibes in this house. And we had this beautiful, well, I'm not going to say beautiful, we had this pine tree right out our back door, and I wanted a patio there. And so I thought, well, maybe we can pour the patio around the tree. I've seen that done, but the tree had this problem. The needles, they pointed down. It was an old tree, and the needles didn't point up, they pointed down. And it had lots of spiders living in the tree. And you would go out and spiders would drop on you. It was very unsettling, especially for my husband who has arachnophobia. And so we cut the tree down. And I think it was the most satisfying thing that my husband has ever done, is to get rid of a huge spider's nest. Okay, I am finished with my little stems. And the reason I told you about the spiders is because I saw Maria do this, and I loved how it looked. She put little orbs in the tree, so just like they were little, I don't know, like I call them little spider's nests, but she put these little orbs in, and it really will, you will see how it affects the look of the tree. I just love it. It's just got some interest, and if you don't have things exactly, if you have a little oops, if you put a little circle in there, it just kind of, it helps with that. And so there we have our first stem. Now, on my original one, and you don't ever do two the same, I did another stem coming up out this way. So I just did one that came up like this, right from underneath the the N. So you could put one, and I'm just going to hurry and put one in here so that I can do some instruction on everything you put down first is going to be your top layer. Everything you put down after this is going to be under what you just drew. So this is your top layer, and then we will put a second layer of tangles, and they will be underneath. And a lot of times people don't like to do large format things because they get a little worried about where am I placing things. And you notice I just draw so it connects to the N. Here it's going to the N, here it's attaching to the N. Okay, so now we're going to move on to our next tangle, which is similar to this one. And if you look on your handouts, it is called Featherfall by Carol O. And I love Carol O's things. And I love this one because it doesn't really have a stem. And I'm just going to draw a line, basically like I did on both of these, like on Vertigo, but I'm not going to put another line coming down. This one just has spiky things, and they are filled in. So we're just going to put a little spiky object, and you can give it a little curve to it, but we want to fill in around them, and I like them to be off-centered, so they are not right across from each other. And if you look at Carol O's picture or step outs, you'll see that she does that same thing. So we're just going to draw our little feather things, or our little, and you can see that this one went under, and you could bring it out here to kind of give it that illusion of going under, or you can stop it. I kind of like to sometimes show that it is underneath. It gives it that illusion, pops out a little bit more. You can see that Noel is over the top, but here it would be, I think, kind of long for the Noel to be over the top. But maybe when we go to do our next step, it will end up, so we could put just a tiny little bit of a one there, because they can be long. Yesterday I had a full class of students. I teach a live class every Tuesday, and I haven't been filming it because they are very shy. They don't want to talk if I'm filming. And yesterday they hardly said one word. It was very quiet. and a lot of them love the quietness. I played some Christmas music in the background, and it was very, very calming class. Today you may hear my dog. I'm up early filming and she's still asleep. It's cold outside. I didn't look to see what the temperature was, but we live in the kind of cold desert, and it is probably about 20 degrees above zero. So now that we have it, all the little spikes, we're going to aura each one of these little spikes. And I like to try to make them as pointy as possible on the ends. And I'm going to aura one at a time, going up, and then eventually I will skip to just aura-ing around the one little feathery fall thing. So we're just going to aura around, and we're going to keep aura-ing until the they touch. About forgot what I was saying. Yesterday my husband was here to remind me to talk, because sometimes I'll get tangling and I stop in the middle of a thought. So remember, we're going to just keep aura-ing, and to remember to do the holly bar effect. And here I have they're pretty close, so I'm just going to go around and do my aura-ing. Now I'm going to come up here and aura this one and this one. And I'm going to aura this one again and this one, so they fill in underneath and all the way. You want to go so that they actually touch each other. So now this other side. I'm going to do this one. And since these are pretty close together, I am going to do several of them that. Then I'm going to come back and do this one until they touch, and then I can just do on one. So this looks like it's underneath that one. And then their feathers kind of, or their lines kind of overlap each other. And you're thinking, oh, I don't know about this. This one is a little on the strange side, but we're going to give it a chance here. And I'm going to do a little so that it came up over. And I see one of my little lines that I didn't bring down all the way. And I've got space right here. I can do this one. And now I'm going to do that second one so it looks like it's under. And I am going to draw and fill in this top point. And I'm going to aura it so that we have one coming out the very top. And it's just auraed all the way around. Now to give it that feather look, we're going to connect the dots. So I'm going to start up here and I'm going to connect the points and give it a little, oh, I was off camera, sorry. So I'll do it again. We're going to connect the points and then give it a little fescue on the end. So connect the dots or the points of that and give it, I call that a little fescue, and you can see that that just lightens up that feather. Anywhere where they need to be connected, you connect them. And there we have feather fall. I'm going to pause just a minute. So I let my dog out. And now we're ready to move on to more that are underneath here. So we've got some under the N and some under the O. And now we're going to move to jetties. I love jetties, and we're just going to put them in the crook of the O, and my first one is going to be so it's kind of under the O, and I like them to kind of pile up in the O. And they can be different sizes, and we're going to just load this and O. And mine, I seldom get perfectly round little jetties, but that's okay because we're going to make it an illusion by putting a line that has a little curve to it, and then I'm going to fill it in, and you have your choice whether or not you put a line on either side. You can put a line on both sides of that jetty, but you want it to have a little bit of a curve so that it makes the orb have a round effect. If you go straight, the orb will not look round. And that light touch, and I try to have my orbs or my little balls with the lines going different directions, and because they're not all going to be the same. But these really have a little Christmas ornament look to them, I think. And even though they look like a croquet ball to me, or croquette, however you say it. But they are absolutely fun to draw. They're very meditative. And if you rotate your tile, it helps you make those little lines go in different directions. Otherwise, you tend to make them all go, you know, like a frowny face or a smiley face. And you want them to go different directions. So there we have our little jetties. And now we're going to do something that is just a little different. We're going to fill in background. The little spaces in between. Ooh, and I about did the wrong spot because that was going under, and there's no mistake in Zentangle, only opportunity. So we'll see what if I can make it look like I didn't put a color in the wrong spot, because we're just going to make that ball smaller, and that fixed it. You can always look for ways you can fix those little mistakes. If I let my dog back in, she's gonna come in here and she's gonna drink out of her dish, and it drives me crazy. So she's going to stay out. Okay, so now we have a big space here. I think I'm going to finish adding more jetties in this space, and then I will fill it in behind, because I want to come all the way up into my vertigo, or my little pine bough. And I wouldn't want it to be too black all the way up. I want it to have a little, more. So I'm going to add some fatter pine boughs or vertigo stems in here that are a little bit whiter. So when I go to color in the background here, I won't, my pine or my vertigo stems are not going to disappear. The first time I saw background filled in like this was when I was at my certification for Zentangle. I was in group number 4. Tried to get into group number 3, but it was already taken. And a friend of mine had seen Zentangle online, and she was working as a volunteer in the library with me, and she suggested that I do this for summer reading program because it was Be Creative, and I'm going to put another. So I looked it up and I found it, and I found, miraculously, I found a teacher who had certified in 2000, CZT class 1. And why this is miraculous is because I live in Utah, and Rick and Maria live in oh my goodness, it just left me. Back east, just outside of New York. Not Boston. Okay, it's gonna left. But my teacher was in Moab, Utah, when I did some research. And I called her, and she was so excited to come and teach a class at my library. And so she came up and taught a class. Now, I'm going to just go right up to the little stem. So all of these little spaces in between are going to need to be filled in. That's why I wanted that stem to be fairly fat, so that when I filled in the spaces in between, the stem didn't disappear. And I'm going to go all the way up to the top of the N. And I know I was going somewhere with this story. Oh, the first time I did the fill-in, and I digressed a little bit there. But anyway, it was at my first class, and a woman had filled in, and I don't believe she had on her glasses. And have you ever looked, done something without your glasses? It looks like it's, I don't know, maybe I just noticed that it was not filled in all the way. And they were passing around a progressive tangle for us to do, and I thought, oh, I don't know if that looks that good. And then it came around again, and it was beautiful. It had been filled in completely and was solid black, and I loved how it contrasted with the other tangles in the composite of tangles that we were doing. Little bit more here. It was stunning. And so there you see how that really gives some great contrast to the other things that are there. So now we're going to move on to our next tangle, which is a flux or a pays. It's whichever one you want to do. I'm going to do a little pays because I like how it is, and you can do it so it has a wobbly. I don't normally do it so it's wobbly. I just do that paisley shape, and I'm going to do another paisley shape that kind of goes in, and then we're going to come back and I'm going to aura this. Now I change a lot when I do Zentangles. I don't always do it exactly like the person who designed or created that tangle. And this was created by Mikey Huber, and Carol O posted it. And I liked my Aura-ing so that it went right down into the center. So I'm going to do another one here. I'm going to Aura the inside. And I'm going to come down and meet. Then I'm going to just move right on and keep Aura-ing. I'm not really good at keeping my lines exactly even when I teach a class. I have to think to myself, go slow. And I'm just going to Aura until I get to a small enough centerpiece that I can just blacken in. I love the contrast. So, and I call it the drama. I've called it that for a long time. And then I heard Maria call it drama, and I thought, it is drama. That's what I've been calling it. Because I love the drama that occurs when you have light and dark. And if you have just gray all the time, you know, that middle, it's not going to have as much drama. So there we have, and I could do one more that comes out of here. Sometimes I overkill and do too many. That's going to be have it just a little thin. And I kind of got a little overlap here. I'm going to come in here and I'm going to add some orbs, which are just circles. It's just going to fill in some of this. Okay, I had to stop. My husband came down. The dog was out. It's cold, and she was whining. And I don't like her to come into my studio, and that's where she sleeps at night, is in my studio. She's a rescue dog, and so she's old, and we've only had her a couple of years. And but anyway, we love her. So there, I just put some little, orbs that, and I call them orbs just because Maria calls them, well, she calls them orbs, but it's because they're not circles, they are just roundish. And so there we have our pays, or you can do flux, and we've done Tripoli. That is like the orbs, and you can put them anywhere. You can just build them up. Sometimes I like to do descending shapes, so I will make them big and then smaller. Okay, now we're going to add Springer and Zinger, and these are two of my, I love these, and I'm gonna add them so they come up in this direction and maybe over here, because I'm just doing this much and I don't want to have them come over here. So we're gonna just do a Springer. A sprinkle. Spring girl. I never can do it. And it's a line up, and then I come back like I'm doing Muka, and come back on myself. And like I said, I change mine all the time. And I'm going to move over here a little bit. And now I'm going to put a little line that connects here, and then I'm going to color this in dark. And you're going to see why. Sometimes I do that at the end, but I'm just going to do it right now. This is my drama. And now I'm going to put a little hat that descends, gets smaller and smaller as we go out. And then I'll put a little point, and sometimes I'll just put some little dots coming out of it. And this part right here makes that look like it's hollow. So let's do another one. And I'm just going to have it come out of the end, up, curve around, and you can go either direction, then curve back on itself, follow it back down, going slow so that you can make a nice line. Now we're going to put the hats on first. So just those little caps. And now we're going to fill in this circular space right here in the middle so it looks like it is going and I'm going to do one more, and this one I'm going to have my curve go back the other direction, come follow it back, and put our little caps on, and then a little point, and then some little dots coming out. And that's my version of Springle. And I always do odd number. An odd number just is more satisfying than just an even number when I do that. So now we're going to do some Springer, and I do my springers a little bit different. So, and I'm going to turn my my Noel around so I can pull my I'm trying to decide where I want to put them. I think I'll just put them so that they are. Isn't that hard to decide where you're going to put a tangle sometimes? And I'm going to pull it so it comes just up through, and I did a little holly bow, and then I'm going to make and I had my hand in the way, I apologize, like a little fescue. And then it's going to have these little round, and they are like little round caps, but the inside is that little fescue, and it's just a line. Sometimes I don't want to have a stem. I just want a little line. I don't have room for a stem. You could put a stem on them, but this makes them a little bit more whimsical. And Let's see if I can pull one more. And the wonderful thing about this is you can just draw right over things because it's just a one-liner. I could have come right over the top of my Vertigo. That one has kind of a little more whimsical look to it. I'm going to turn it back around so you can see those little zingers, and they can even be very short. You know, I could bring one up and it can cross right over because it is not a stem. And I do them two ways. You saw me just do that the other way. I am going to add one more. And this one, I'm just going to put little caps that don't touch, and they are like, oh, I can't remember. I'm terrible today. But anyway, there's your zinger. And they're just kind of fun to put in and lighten up something. So our last tangle that we're going to do is floors. And you're going, what? Where are you going to add floors in this? And I am going to add floors so that it comes into here. So we're going to start, and I'm going to start right at the E, and I'm going to draw a line, and I'm going to do an imaginary, where would it come, all the way over to here. And then I'm going to do another line, imaginary, all the way over to here. And another one, light touch, very, very light touch on your pen. And the wonderful thing about this is we're going to make it look like it's underneath all of this. So we have to make sure that it is, and I am so sorry, that it is underneath those vines, those stems. And now I'm going to draw a line coming down. So I make a grid, and I'm going to have my grid here and here and here, and I could even come up so that it's underneath, clear up underneath my O. Now I'm going to come in and I am going to just round the corners where those lines meet. So let me turn it around so you can see a little better, so I'm not covering with my hand. Round the corners and then over here I'm going to round these just because it will look like it's up against that end. Anywhere where you see the lines cross, you want to put a little, and I'm going to put some right there. You never can draw two things exactly the same. Everyone will have a little different, and I Mine, the first one I drew is, they're always different. And this kind of pulls this so it's down together. And you can bring some other of the designs out from underneath it, so it gets confusing of what was there first. And I think that there would have been a line right about there, and so I'm put one more line in. And there we have floors underneath that. So now we're going to take some time and shade, just so that you can see how it changes it. So I'm just going to take my regular graphite pencil, and I'm going to start by putting a little graphite down the stem of my vertigo. Just the inner stem. I just want it to be. And I'm going to come back with a shading stump and blend. And then I'm going to put graphite along my N on my Noel. And if you were in my live class, I did it a little different, but I am just putting a goodly amount of graphite, pressing kind of hard, so that graphite is there. And then I'm going to come and do it on this side. I didn't stay on the line very well. And then I'm going to do it just on one side of this. They're kind of skinny, and so I don't want it to be completely covered with graphite. And so if I'm not careful, it will. So I'm just going to take my shading stump, and I use a pretty, that one. I had to stop so I could find a piece of emery board, and I'm just going to clean mine off with a little emery board and sharpen up that point a bit, so that it will do. And I put it in the pencil sharpener and got it kind of a finer point. This is a solid shading stump, and I'm going to just start to blend, and I want to blend that pencil until you don't see the line, that it's blended out, and and you can see why I didn't put it on both sides, because it would have kind of made this stem a little bit, or the end of the N, a little bit too dark. But putting the graphite on here really does make this Noel stand out. It brings it forward and helps. And I said I put some on my stem, I'm just going to blend that in so that there's no white. And I can put a little at the bottom of my pays and on maybe up one side of my zingers, or at the bottom. You can choose wherever you want to put it. And sometimes I won't even put more graphite on. There'll be enough on my shading stump that I can just blend it in with where I am. And I'll be really careful that I don't turn these completely gray, that I want to leave a little white with them. And floors can be done the same way. You can just put a little bit of graphite along the line and then blend it in, and it kind of gives your floors a little just a little highlight. And you can do the same with your little jetties. Give them a little bit of graphite. And usually I have enough graphite on my shading stump that I can blend those in. And then I come back and I like to put just a few little dots. And it's going to be hard to see. Let's see if I can come in. And you can see I just put a few little dots out here because the bugs have to fly around inside that pine tree. So I just give it a few little bugs. Now we can go on and finish this side and do the same concept as we've done here with the same tangles. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial, and I enjoyed all those who came to class yesterday. And thanks again for watching, and watch for more inexpensive classes. I just love to do a class that isn't an arm and a leg, and so we live in some difficult times for a lot of people. Inflation's terrible, and I just want to be a giving person. And so thanks again for watching, and have a great day.